This is giving like documentary. I didn't mean for it to have this vibe, but the gray backdrop really does it. Hey, hey. Sorry if I sound a little congested, a little ill, a little sickly. I've been feeling a little under the weather, but I finally feel well enough to film this video, and I'm super excited to bring you this recreation, this look. Today we are going to be recreating and honoring the one-of-a-kind beauty that is Donyale Luna. Now, if you haven't heard of Donyale Luna, she was the first ever black supermodel, African-American supermodel, and the first African-American model to be on the cover of Vogue. Now, we are all familiar with the very first black supermodel that was on the cover of American Vogue, Beverly Johnson, absolutely stunning cover. But what a lot of people don't recognize and highlight, mostly because it was British Vogue, but Donyale Luna was actually the one that paved the way for Beverly Johnson. So today we are honoring her. This recreation is really near and dear to my heart, and I hope that portrays not just through my pictures but through this video as well. I watched her documentary on HBO called Supermodel, I believe is what it's called. Yeah, Donyale Luna, Supermodel. She was not only one of a kind, but she represented so much. She wasn't very vocal about, racial injustice, even though her prime was pretty much the 60s. And the backdrop for that was the civil rights movement. She was really just a girl who believed in her feminine energy, who wanted to feel loved, who wanted to feel beautiful. And I say that solemnly because her story had a very sad ending. She died at the very young age of 33 due to a heroin overdose. And you could tell her life kind of just took a sudden turn. It seemed like she had dealt with a lot of depression and possibly anxiety, which led to her drug use. So her story really resonates with me because I can relate to being someone who is portrayed as very ambiguous. People look at me and they're like, I don't know where she's from, what her ethnicity is, what her race is. But I also can relate to, even though I'm not as tall as her, she was a lot taller than me, but I can relate to having that feeling of feeling very awkward and being tall. Like, I'm not as tall as the people around me, but growing up, I was probably the tallest in my class all the time. And, you always feel, like a sore thumb, like you stick out. Something that she talks about a lot is, her being so skinny and being so tall and people not really knowing how to appreciate her beauty. And honestly, I think that is a common theme throughout her entire life. That was kind of shown throughout this documentary, was that she was a rare beauty, a kind of otherworldly beauty that we didn't know how to comprehend. So with that being said, today we are going to be recreating her one-of-a-kind British Vogue cover. Look at this. Oh, let's just take a moment. Oh my gosh, this cover is beautiful and is near and dear to my heart. So we'll be recreating that today. I kind of already have, I already have the earring on, the earrings, and I have the top that I kind of made to resemble her dress. I only did the top part. I didn't do the entire dress because we just want this to kind of look like, the Vogue cover. I also painted my nails, that kind of off-white to kind of resemble her pose that she uses with her hands. So I'm super excited. Like, honestly, filming the video, that's not even the exciting part. Taking these pictures are gonna be where the magic happens, and I cannot wait to take these pictures. But I thought it would be a good idea to bring you guys along on how I do the makeup. I think Donyale Luna was very ahead of her time. And, you can kind of see her wearing a ton of false lashes on the bottom and the top, and you also see her wearing graphic liner a lot while also having the 60s kind of liner at the top, that black arch that you see in a lot of 60s makeup. That's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be kind of freestyling the lip, just because in this photo you don't really see a lip, but in this photo you kind of can see more of what is happening. Now, I kind of want to preface with the hair. It was hard to kind of tell what her hair was doing in this photo. But you can kind of see the hair kind of falls straight as if she has a ponytail. So that is why I kind of have this very high pony right now. And you can also kind of see you don't really see a distinguishable hairline. It kind of looks as though she has like, you know, some people call them bangs, some people call them money pieces, but you know, she kind of has these little pieces that fall to the side, you know, by her brow. So that's kind of how I interpreted the hair. Now we're just gonna do makeup. So let's get started. Okay, we're gonna get started with eyes. So I'm gonna first go in with this brown liquid liner. I always like to start with brown first, kind of carve out my base, and then I go back in with black to kind of make it pop a little more. So just a little tip. Now, when I first saw Donyale Luna, it was on a TikTok, believe it or not, and it was, you know, it looked very old-timey. It was black and white, and it was an interview with Johnny Carson, I think, and he asked her, he was like, first of all, she looks drop dead gorgeous. She literally has this, she has this wig on. It looks a little messy, but like, she looks stunning. She has the most beautiful smile, and you notice she has blue eyes. And you're like, oh my God, who is this lady? You're like, she looks like, you know, the video looks vintage, but she looks so timeless. So he asked her, he's like, what, where do these blue eyes come from? And she goes, oh, that's a secret.
You have the most spectacular blue eyes. Where do they come from?
That's a secret.
And obviously, anytime a woman's like, oh, it's a secret, it's not real, and you probably shouldn't comment on it. So I was like, oh my gosh, who is this diva? I love her. And so I had to look it up, because I was like, when was this video? Is this what colored contacts looked like back in the 60s? Like, I just got really intrigued by her aura, by her presence, and obviously by her answer. And so then found out it was Donyale Luna, found out, you know, she was the model behind this cover that I've admired for a couple months now, and I was just so intrigued by her. Now, I will point out in the picture that I'm doing, she does not have colored contacts. I was definitely willing to go buy some blue colored contacts to create a look of hers. This one just struck me. You kind of want to start the crease right here, the crease of your lid. I don't know if you can kind of see the defined line right below my brow, but look at this. Look at the photo. If you look at her eye, she obviously has liner coming from the bottom, liner coming from here, and then liner also coming from the crease. Now, when I turn my eye to the side, the actual crease of my lid fits the placement way better. So that is why I'm kind of going with this lower crease right here. Okay, now we got our crease. I'm gonna kind of buff it out on the top, not the bottom, just to soften that line, make it not so sharp. Alrighty, we have created our crease. You can't see it in this photo, but in this photo you can definitely see that she kind of has this greenish kind of bluish eyeshadow. So I'm gonna faintly do that, put that on my lid, and kind of make it so, since you can see it in one photo and not so much the other, I kind of want to keep the authenticity of the look, but I also, you know, want it to not be so striking in the photo that we're actually trying to recreate. I also want to mention, these are not my usual brows. I did my brows to resemble hers, so don't come for me. These brows are dark and long, but I'm glad I was able to do it. I'm gonna actually go in with my finger. Okay, that kind of did what I wanted to do. So like, I'm just going in with a blue eyeshadow, and I'm gonna kind of buff that out. Kind of like that, something like that. Yeah, something like that. Something to where it's like, okay, you see I have color on my lids, but you kind of can't tell what color it is. Now we're going in with liquid liner, and we're gonna do our lids and then the lower lid and kind of create this cool kind of shape that she has with her eyes. Not to brag, but my eye shape is very similar to the shape in this photo. So I'm kind of just gonna follow my eye shape and hope that it kind of creates that little triangle that she has. But enough about me, more about Donyale Luna. Okay, so she was actually born Peggy Ann Freeman. Donyale was one of her middle names, I believe. And I think Luna was a part of her name, but she also loved to say, she was such a goddess, oh my God, she also loved to say that she was from the moon. She and a lot of others found her beauty to be very ethereal. You know, she felt very divine and felt very, you know, otherworldly, which is something that I admire about her as well. You know, that kind of larger than life self-perception, which is something that I seek and want to achieve one day. Just viewing yourself that big is a very beautiful thing, and it definitely creates not just a beautiful aura, but a beautiful spirit and a beautiful soul. So, yes, let's get into liner. You can tell I can't multitask. I can't focus on multiple things at once. So the liner follows the eye, follows the shape of the eye until about right here. And then it kind of veers off here. Yeah, just like that. Perfect, so that's how the liner's gonna look, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the lower liner. Sorry, I had to be quiet and focus. I'm scared about this liner. I usually don't do liquid liner on my lower lash line, but here we go. I went in with the pencil liner off camera, and that really did the trick. It's coming together. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Nice. I think that did it. Oh my gosh, guys, look at these eyes. Like, this is such a interesting liner. It creates such an interesting eye shape. Like, it almost pulls my eyes out more. Interesting. Kind of gives Egyptian a little bit. I like it. I like it a little too much. This might really compliment my eye shape. Look, 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 look. Ah! Oh my gosh, look. Oh my gosh, that's her eye. What the hell? I mean, excuse me, what the heck? And eyes are done. What the heck? The helly? I think because we didn't do lash extensions on the bottom, I'm gonna just do a ton of mascara on the bottom lash line. Eyes are done. Ah! Now what shall we do for a lip, guys? Back into the lip. But then I'm gonna go in with this. This has been like kind of my favorite thing right now for my lips. One, because it smells really good, but two, it's like the perfect ombre shade. Ooh, this is such a cute makeup look. Oh, I like a lot. Wow, it looks so different. I look like I'm from the 60s. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's start filming. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had so much fun recreating this look, honoring the beautiful Donyale Luna, telling her story. And what better way to start off my brand new kind of rebrand of my content than with the first ever Black supermodel. So I'm very honored, very proud of the direction that my content is going, and I hope you are too. I hope you like it. So, bye.